You claim you're ready to let go, but why does that name still echo in your mind every morning? Why, despite knowing how deeply they wounded you, does your pulse race at every ping of your phone, hoping, against reason, it's them? Don't fool yourself. You're not pining for who they actually were. You're addicted to the dream you painted of them, the fantasy of love you so desperately needed. Jung taught that the parts of ourselves we refuse to face become our fate. And right now, your heartbreak is holding up a mirror. It's not just a breakup. It's a reckoning with the pieces of you you've buried. This isn't another just let go pep talk, nor a list of empty platitudes about moving on. It's a hard truth that will press against the scars you've spent years hiding, and it's the only key to your freedom. Too often we mistake our shadow's grip, the part of us starving for validation, as love. We latch on to someone who wounds us because our unconscious is crying out for the recognition we never gave ourselves. That ache you feel when they ignore your messages, that panic when they don't show up. It isn't really about them. It's a projection of all the unloved parts of you. In this video, we'll take a raw, unflinching dive into those hidden corners of your psyche. You'll learn how your mind tricks you into keeping chains on your own heart, why you keep replaying old patterns, and, most crucially, how to begin dismantling those invisible bars. Brace yourself. The path ahead won't be comfortable, but only by facing this shadowy truth head-on will you stop pleading for someone else's affection and finally start reclaiming your own. Ready? Let's dive in. Have you ever wondered why you stay so drawn to someone who hurts you again and again? You see the lies, the manipulation, the moments of real pain, and still something inside you craves more. Here's the catch. It isn't about them. It's about you, far deeper than you realize. Carl Jung taught that every relationship is a mirror to our unconscious. When you fall in love, you're not truly seeing that person. You're projecting onto them parts of yourself you've hidden or been forced to bury. This is psychic projection. You're not in love with who they really are. You're attached to whatever they represent in your inner world. Often they embody the anima or animus archetype, your own inner feminine or masculine ideal. That's why, no matter how badly they treat you, your heart tugs you back. You're chasing a piece of yourself you've never claimed. In the next section, we'll uncover how to spot these projections, reclaim those lost parts, and finally break the spell of unhealthy attachments. Because true freedom begins when you stop seeing others and start seeing yourself. Think about it. Those inner masculine and feminine figures you carry, they're archetypes from your unconscious, symbols of what you've judged missing inside yourself. When you project them onto a partner, you mistake that person for your path to wholeness, to feel safe, to feel seen, to feel alive. At first, it feels like passion. You worship every small kindness, you excuse every hurt. But the moment they fail to live up to your unconscious script, obsession kicks in. You cling to scraps of affection. You rationalize the lies. You stay, hoping to reclaim the fantasy. But that fantasy was never real. It was your own need masquerading as love. Jung's warning is clear. Until you reintegrate those disowned parts, your own strength, your own vulnerability, your own voice, you'll keep replaying the same heartbreaks with different faces. This isn't misfortune. It's an inner compulsion. So how do you break free? How do you stop chasing projections and finally meet yourself? That's what we'll uncover next. You learned early on that to be loved, you had to become the person everyone wanted you to be. Kind, agreeable, indispensable. So you built a persona, a polished mask you wore to win approval. Jung called this the persona, the face we show the world to belong. But when you start believing that mask is all there is, you smother your true self. In relationships fueled by emotional dependency, this plays out painfully. You dim your own needs, silence your anger, hide your dreams, anything to keep the other person from pulling away. Yet no amount of compliments or reassurances can fill that inner void, because what you're really starving for is yourself, the parts you abandoned to fit in. Chasing external validation is like trying to eat air. You'll always feel hollow. And every moment they're quiet, every criticism, every small withdrawal becomes proof you're not enough. That's where anxiety takes root, your soul screaming for the freedom to show up as you really are. In the next part, we'll explore how to reclaim yourself, not by changing others, but by healing that inner betrayal, so you stop living in the shadow of someone else's gaze. That tightening in your chest, the restless nights, the compulsive refresh of every notification, these aren't just symptoms, they're your psyche begging for attention. Because what you really dread isn't losing them, it's being left face to face with a self you no longer recognize without that relationship. Anxiety here is not the enemy, it's your soul's alarm, warning you that inside there's a war between the person you've hidden and the one you've pretended to be. Yet every time you shove those deeper parts into the unconscious, the alarm grows louder. In the next segment, we'll explore how this anxiety springs from your inner fracture and what it wants you to discover about yourself. It's your soul sounding the alarm, telling you that something is profoundly out of alignment, that you're living an emotional lie whose toll is paid by your deepest self. Jung taught that the psyche is like a layered ecosystem, conscious and unconscious parts that must cooperate. When you smother your true feelings to prop up a destructive bond, that delicate balance shatters. What fills the breach is anxiety, not merely a fear of being alone, but the clash of your authentic needs against the demands you impose on yourself. Each time you swallow tears so you won't rock the boat, each time you force out an "I'm fine" while you're breaking inside, you deepen that fracture. Anxiety, then, is your psyche's last-ditch defense, a warning flare that you can no longer ignore. In the next section, we'll uncover how your shadow, those disowned parts you've buried, secretly scripts your relationships, luring you into the very dynamics that hurt you. You may think you're choosing freely, but often it's that hidden, shamed self pulling the strings. Jung called the shadow everything you do not wish to be, yet are. All the impulses, desires, traits you learned were unacceptable, so you shoved them into your unconscious. But repression doesn't erase. It charges your psyche like trapped energy, and it needs an outlet. Relationships become the perfect stage. Your shadow casts you in roles of victim, rescuer, martyr, or abuser, because it's desperate to be seen. If you truly want freedom, you must be willing to step into the shadows you've long avoided and bring them into the light. Only then can you stop unconsciously repeating patterns that betray your real self. You keep drawing in partners who echo your own unacknowledged darkness. Emotionally distant lovers, narcissistic manipulators, those who mirror precisely what you've buried inside. You swap names and faces, but the play is always the same. You shrink, they wound, you blame yourself, you beg for scraps, and you call it love. This isn't bad luck. It's an unconscious destiny scripted by your shadow. Whenever you gravitate towards someone who dismisses your needs, ask yourself, what part of me feels too dangerous to own? What anger have I repressed? What hunger for visibility have I stifled? Your shadow projects outward. You despise in them the rage you refuse to feel in yourself. You idealize in them the power you sacrificed to fit in. It's a relentless loop, but it isn't cruel. It's necessary. Until you shine light on those hidden parts, they'll keep sending you echoes of themselves through every one you choose, forcing you, finally, to recognize the pieces of you you've been avoiding. Only by owning your shadow can you break the pattern and welcome relationships that reflect your whole, integrated self. Jung warned us, what you resist persists, what you accept transforms. It isn't enough to flee every toxic bond. You must ask why those bonds keep finding you. That takes real bravery, the courage to turn inward and own the part of the chaos that lives inside you. You carry old wounds, unhealed traumas, the gnawing desires you've buried. Ignoring them only hands your power to repetition. Instead, learn to welcome those shadowed pieces, feel the anger you've denied, the needs you've silenced, and you begin to alchemize them into strengths. This is the heart of individuation, the path back to your center, the reclamation of self that underpins every genuine connection. Now that you've glimpsed your shadow, are you ready to start integrating and finally set yourself free? There comes a moment when you simply cannot live divided anymore, when the face you present to the world and the turmoil in your heart can't coexist. It's in that unbearable tension, when the pain no longer fits inside your chest, that real healing ignites. For Jung, this crisis is the doorway to individuation, the radical journey of shedding the masks and unconscious wounds that have puppeteered your life, and stepping into the person you were always meant to be. But make no mistake, individuation is not a gentle stroll. It demands you turn and face every part of yourself you've spent years hiding, the self-doubt you smothered, the old traumas you've numbed, the patterns that keep sabotaging you. You'll have to dismantle the stories you told yourself to survive, stories of "I'm not enough," "I must please," "I dare not speak up," and own your role in the suffering that once felt inevitable. It's only by illuminating those shadowed corners, by admitting you once accepted pain because you didn't know there was another way, that you can reclaim the missing pieces of your identity, build an unshakable center, and finally become whole. Individuation sparks the instant you quit pursuing people who overlook you and instead turn your gaze inward with uncompromising honesty. Ask yourself, why do I keep sacrificing my own needs just to hold on to someone else's approval? What piece of myself am I trading each time I grovel for affection? These questions sting, but they shred the comforting illusions you've built. As you confront them, you reclaim the fragments of your soul you once abandoned. Every boundary you enforce, every no you dare speak, each moment you choose your peace over another's approval, these are votes cast for your true self. You're dismantling the false persona crafted for applause, and in its place forging a self that's integrated, resilient, and fiercely autonomous. And here's the transformative truth. Once you anchor in your own center, others cease to be your lifeline. You stop needing validation to feel worthy. You stop pleading for love to feel alive. You simply inhabit your body, your space, your reality, fully and without apology. Carl Jung taught that individuation is the coming home to your authentic self, free of the persona's masks and the shadow's tyranny. It's here you finally grasp. You don't need those who wounded you to prove you're alive. Your suffering was never your essence, only a chapter in a larger story. But knowing this isn't enough, you must live it. In your daily life, that means choosing your own voice over old loyalties, seeing every no as a brick in your inner fortress, and treating discomfort not as a stop sign, but as a guidepost toward deeper freedom. It means waking each morning and asking, what part of me deserves to be honored today? Then acting on that answer. That simple, relentless practice transforms pain into power and breaks every chain that once held you. You've made it this far because somewhere inside, you felt a shift stirring. Maybe you couldn't name the ache. Perhaps you labeled it weakness, neediness, dependency. But now you see it was your soul's quiet alarm. You've given too much. bent too far, lost sight of who you are. Letting go isn't erasing the past or pretending it didn't wound you. It's understanding it, honoring it, then setting it down. The person who hurt you belonged to an earlier chapter. Holding on is like trying to cross an ocean while dragging an anchor. You'll never reach new shores that way. Yes, releasing that bond stings. You're not just leaving someone behind, but grieving the collapse of hopes, fantasies, and versions of yourself you invested in. Yet this very pain is sacred. It is the crucible of your rebirth. It is the farewell that makes room for the true you to step forward. Mourning what's lost clears space for what's authentic. So mourn fiercely, release deliberately, and watch as, freed from that weight, you reclaim the territory of your own heart, whole, unburdened, finally home. You no longer have to shrink yourself to squeeze into relationships that feel too tight. You don't have to contort your desires to fit the expectations of people who never truly see your soul. Right now, you have a choice. Choose yourself. Put your own needs first. Not from selfishness, but from a place of unflinching integrity. As long as you keep pouring your energy into repairing ties that are fractured beyond repair, you'll drift further from your own rescue. Carl Jung reminded us that our greatest privilege is to become who we genuinely are. And maybe this very moment, that decision to stop fixing everyone else's brokenness and start honoring your own, is the boldest act of all. So ask yourself, what must you release to finally set yourself free? Type it in the comments as a declaration to your own heart. If this resonated, hit like and subscribe. And don't pause now. The next video could be the missing piece that completes your journey.